podcast.
All right. Welcome back to the podcast, episode 161 of the Outdoor Drive. It's actually, that's one more than 160, but one less than 162. That's pretty good. That's not bad, I guess.
Insert math here.
Well, that's a lot of count. I don't think I have enough fingers and toes for that. That's a heck of a lot. Jeez. I think that's more though. I think that's over, if anything. Well, whatever. Well, let's get on with the drive. Well, this is your boy East Coast Trev
and this is Steve.
What's up, Steve? And we also have the Madman Mardik in the studio.
Live.
He doesn't like to introduce himself, so he makes me do it, but it just sounds weird, so it's like the SST.
Yeah.
You know why I hate it?
It's TSS, remember?
TSS. Oh, TSS, that's right. Right.
We got our TSS.
SST is Wasp. Wasp Archery used to make the SST Boss. But then we have the TSS now. So it's way cooler.
What you teasing back there, Mardik?
No, because every time he goes, and Madman Mardik, I feel like it's like when you record your voicemail and it says, please say your name after the tone. Steve Mardik. And it's so awkward.
It is so awkward, actually. I think we need to just come up with, I think that we just like introduce everybody in the room at once instead of going and then, well,
I say we get Bruce Buffer to do it.
Oh, there we go. And in this corner, we've got Trev facing off against the Madman Mardik and our buddy over here, just Steve. Calling the shots today. We've got our guest. And I'll leave that up until we get into the guest.
See, I think that's ideal and perfect. I think that's maybe, it is a podcast and a radio show. So we probably should come up with some cool intro. And I think it would make things a lot easier.
Yeah, but I don't know if I pull off Bruce Buffer as well as Bruce Buffer.
Well, whatever. Like Bruce Buffer. Nobody doesn't like Bruce Buffer. We should almost have like some pre-recorded. I don't know. We'll see what we can come up with. Maybe we can just give it.
Send us your input. You guys want to change it up? You want to mix it up? Do we need to do something stupid, or do you like it how it is?
We always need to do something stupid. I think it's the better thing to do, right?
We'll do that the next social media poll.
All right, there we go. See, perfect. That's perfect. You. Actually, it's kind of funny. Speaking of social media and polls, did you happen to see? Well, Steve didn't because he's not on Facebook.
Of course not.
But did you see after last week's podcast and we had dove into tracking and stuff, which we're going to do a ton more podcasts about that, about just things that we take for granted every single day in the woods, because I think now seeing this in my story being long-winded, after last week's podcast, there was a huge influx. I mean, I should have took stock in glow sticks from Amazon, because the amount of people that went out and bought glow sticks after last week's podcast was insane. And it's something that we take for granted, or I take for granted anyways, because that's something that I've used. Yeah. Well, I've been using them my entire life, and there's so many other skills and things that I've just taken for granted. And I bet you Mardik and Clark have both taken these things for granted because they're just things that you use in your everyday life in the outdoor woods. It's
just ingrained in us.
It's just normal being, right? I mean, like, we're just so used to that thing. Like, you constantly, if you could have three things in your pack, I think I would choose probably a glow stick, a knife, and a rope, because I'm at 51 paracord, because I use it for everything. I mean, dragging the deer. I mean, all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's a ton of things that I use it for.
Amazing what you can do with sticks and things in the natural area to make up for the rest.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so like I go and I cut a piece of green tree. Always catch it. But on
private land.
Yeah. Well, no. So I don't even care. So you cut a piece of green and you cut in the hawks, and then you just grab a hold of that, and then that's how you drag the deer. Yeah. I mean, one time actually last year when I was on the island,
the steps.
The step is another good one. Mm-hmm. Oh, I used that one down in Virginia.
Yeah, down in Virginia.
The Spy High stick.
Yeah.
I've used the Spy High stick
that.
before. We were out scouting and ended up shooting one. What else? I used a shed when I was on the island. I found a shed and I used a shed to drag a deer out. But there's just constantly always something out there that you could be using that's kind of like just you take for granted that I think that we should bring to light. So we'll probably have a podcast on like the do's and don'ts.
Retrievals.
Yeah, blood tracking I think was another one because now hearing everybody's stories on how they hit deer, if guy hits them high, they don't, they're like, oh, they didn't bleed or whatever. And like, there's normal things that go along with that. Like if you hit them high, then it's could be 60, 80, 100 yards before they could bleed out. So you have to kind of take precaution and pay attention there. If you hit them low, if you hit them in the guts, if you hit them back, so on and so forth. So we'll probably have a podcast about that.
There's just so many little things you take for granted that you've known your whole life.
Right.
And then you talk to somebody who maybe hasn't been hunting as long and you just take for granted that you assume everybody knows. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, wait, they don't know this kind of stuff.
Well, it's as simple as like bedding, right? Like for the longest time, everyone would be like, yeah, that's bedding over there. And what actually makes it bedding? You know what I'm saying? Like you look on a map, like what makes that bedding? Like everyone goes food to bed. Well, what actually is food to bed? Like where's the food and where's the bed?
What's the cover in there? What's the wind doing in there? Do they have cover behind them and sight in front of them? Is it thick? Is it open? There's
what are the telltale signs of that? What's the telltale signs of that? Or are you just guessing that that's bedding?
Right.
Or have you seen something come out of it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so there's a lot of those
things. Are you looking on a map or are you looking on foot?
Right, exactly. So those are kind of things we'll kind of touch base on those, I think, in the future with future podcasts because it's one of those things that needs to happen. I wish I had some cool stories. Did you go out hunting this week?
Yeah, I went Saturday morning and yesterday afternoon.
Anything?
Nothing to brag about. Yesterday I had fun because I just went mobile hang and bang. I knew where I was going, but I didn't really scout it, so I didn't know what to expect when I got in there, and I just went in, set up. I kind of knew when I got it was an oak flat. When I got on the oak flat, there was no acorns falling, there was no fresh sign, no fresh scrapes or anything on the oak flat. But it was after work. I only had a couple hours, so I just got in the tree and hung out till dark. I didn't see anything, but I had fun. I was just winging it,
That I think,
yeah,
that's one thing that a lot of us do take for granted also is that what just those hang and bangs, just going out and doing those things because they are fun. They're an absolute blast to just get out there and kind of do what you need to do.
But here's the thing, it's still not a wasted hunt because it's been there, done that. I know that oak flat is dead. There's no acorns falling. Right. There's no fresh tracks. There's no open scrapes, nothing. I have no reason to go back there. So I can eliminate that whole spot off the map. There's no reason to go back there anytime soon. And now I can pick my way through and move around until I find something hot.
Right, exactly. Steve, did you get out this week or anything or do anything?
Didn't get a whole lot done this week. The urban season's in effect for does, but nothing locally to me. So it was just a matter of prepping gear and testing new things. And we're going to go out.
You got that new camera and stuff.
Yeah. Getting the camera all set up and figured out. And then we're going to go down Friday. They should be done with the thinning. So we're going to get our first complete look at that and get some ryegrass in on the food plots and things like that. Get a cover crop set before this hurricane rain hits us on Saturday and Sunday. Go figure. Opening day, we're calling for 4 inches of rain. So I don't know how well my opening weekend is going to work. We'll see.
Yeah. I think I got out once. I ended up coming down with COVID. Finally got me.
Only took you 2 years.
Yeah, right, dude. 2 years. And the thing is, I had said to you guys, I've been all over the world. I've been everywhere. I have not gone somewhere. I've been to Dallas. I've been to, I almost said Houston. I've been to Dallas. I've been to Harrisburg, Ohio, Illinois, Iowa. I've been everywhere. And literally, this is the first time I got it. And I'll tell you, it's knocked me down a little bit. I had a tough time getting in the tree and stuff, walking. I'm still kind of just remnants of it, tired and shit. But no, I got out. There was one buck that's been showing up on camera. I tried getting in there. He was there 2 days in a row, didn't show up on the third, saw a doe. That was about it there. Cameras kind of seemed to slow down a little bit. I don't know what the moon phase is doing right now or what has to tie with that, but it's been a tough week, but we'll get on it. I'm leaving for Sitka here in the next, I'm leaving on the 10th. So Sitka. And then I did make the call. I'm leaving on the 21st to go to Ohio. So I wasn't going to go to Ohio, but I got talked into it. So
Yeah,
I'm going to
it's
go down
hard
there.
not to
I bet that was really hard to twist my arm.
Well, what's kind of funny is that we went out to have some beers and we had dinner with some friends. We fired up the smoker, made some incredible food, by the way.
That looked good.
Dude, it was the ricotta pasta or whatever it is. It's like the long, like ziti shells, but big ones.
But long.
It's like ziti, but way bigger.
Yeah.
And they stuff that with mozzarella and cheddar cheese and then sausage on top of it. And then you wrap it in 2 pieces of bacon. Oh my God, was it phenomenal. And then they put it on the smoker. Dude, it was bomb. I was like, but anyways, so I was there. We got to talking and my buddy Steve, another Steve, he was talking about how he was going to go to Ohio and he was going by himself. And Michelle's like, you should probably go because if you don't go, you're going to regret not going. And I was like, well, you're right. Not really that I want to go. I definitely want to go. All right, I'll go. So I'm going to.
Everyone wants to go. It's just a matter of do you go?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go and I'm going to mess around. I think I'm going to stay more east in the mountains more than some of the other areas where we've hit before, but we'll see what happens. We'll mess around there for, I think 9 days. So that'll be fun. Hopefully it pans out, but we'll see. Yeah, so it'll be good. Let's thank those who support us, the sponsors and the friends and the people of the podcast. What do you guys think?
Let's do it.
Should we go round table? No, I won't do that. I won't do that.
This table's not even round.
No. We're set up kind of
Good call. Good call.
You asshole.
We're up and down. It's a triangle.
All right. Huntworthgear.com. If you guys haven't checked out Huntworth, you're probably missing out. Some really good stuff. They have some of the new heat gear that's coming out on the market. I've been using a ton of it, layering up with it. I finally got into the third third layer the other day.
You made the third layer of Huntsworth.
It was amazing. I absolutely love it. The pockets are all in the perfect places. Great gear. It's 20% of the cost, but 110% of the gear of all of the big major camouflage. It's amazing, amazing gear. I love it. Go and check them out. Huntworthgear.com. Bowfishing Magazine, bowfishingmagazine.com. We're coming to the end with those guys for their seasonal sponsorship, but they're still bow fishing over there. You guys go and check that thing out. Bowfishingmagazine.com. It's probably one of the best online magazines that there is, honestly. Some cool stuff. It's all online, virtual. Nor'easter Game Calls, nor'eastergamecalls.com. Get them in close. There is still a ton of good grunt tubes on there, and rolling into some of the other seasons, there's a ton of other calls on there. I know Steven's got a beautiful goose call, duck call. He's been just going crazy. There's a ton of seasons open and there's a ton of calls. So go and check out Mark at nor'eastergamecalls.com. And then the people that we also believe in, New Era Archery.com, which is the home of the Zeus broadheads, which also the Hera. We have the Aries B16 and the Steady Form. If you guys haven't shot the Zeus broadheads, that Zeus family, you guys are definitely missing out. Probably one of the most deadliest broadheads on the market, hands down. The stuff that this Hera is doing is mind-blowing. Dwight, I watched him yesterday or the day before shoot an alligator right in the top of the head with a Hera. Complete pass through, just absolutely smoke this thing. It was absolutely nuts. So go and check those guys out, neweraarchery.com. And then last but not least, our good buddy Matt. How do you say his last name? Chichala?
Sarah said it to me last night and she butchered it so bad that I couldn't even say it right myself. I was like, I had her the way she said it stuck in my head. I was like, I don't know.
Poor Matt.
We love you, Matt.
Vital Grounds Outdoors. If you guys, any of your AM steel needs, make some of the best stuff, the PSH, the daisy chain, the rope mods, the aiders, the swaders, the naders, you name it, he makes it over there at vitalgroundoutdoors.com. Make sure to go and check those guys out. Those guys support us, so let's support them.
Awesome. Well, we got one more thing to knock out before we bring on our guests. So what do you say we bring on Mikey? Bringing you the news for the cruise is our good buddy Mike Salter. Take it away, Mike.
Hey everyone, we're going to start this one off in Montana where the Elk Management Citizen Advisory Group has developed elk management recommendations. This group was organized in the spring to develop recommendations on elk management issues and improve relationships with stakeholders. The group held 10 public meetings on a variety of issues, which resulted in a list of 15 recommendations to the Fish, Wildlife, and Parks Director for assessment on implementation. The assessment, fiscal impact, and full text of those recommendations is available on FWP's website, and they are open for public comment through October 14th. The recommendations range from weapon and season and tag bundle recommendations to public involvement, data collection, disease management, accessibility, hunter education, and stricter penalties. So there's still a couple weeks to get those comments in on the recommendations. Now to Michigan, where a bill has advanced in the legislature to reduce the penalty for hunters who don't complete the required deer harvest reporting. As I mentioned recently, hunters are now required, as of this year, to file online harvest reports within 72 hours of taking a deer. If the hunter does not comply, they could be charged with a misdemeanor. The bill that passed in the House on the 21st would lower the penalty to a civil infraction where the violator could be ordered to pay a civil fine of up to $150. The DNR has said that this being the first year of the new reporting requirements, they will emphasize an educational approach rather than enforcement in most circumstances. Proponents of the bill believe that legal participation in hunting shouldn't ever result in an infraction, regardless of how much the DNR values the information for management purposes. I would tend to disagree with lessening penalties for not following game laws and regulations, especially with the DNR's approach on education, but we will see how this plays out moving forward. Now to Vermont and some changes to reporting options for fall deer and turkey harvest. Turkey may be reported online or in person at big game reporting stations. Deer may be reported online or in person during the archery and muzzleloader seasons, but deer harvested during the youth and novice deer hunting weekend and the regular firearm season must be reported in person at a check station. All bears will also need to be reported in person and a premolar tooth submitted at time of check-in or within 30 days. All deer, bear, and turkeys will need to be reported within 48 hours of harvest. Now to Alabama, where some hunts have been announced for physically disabled hunters. The M. Burnett Lawley Wild Field Trial area in Hale County will be hosting a series of deer hunts for physically disabled hunters on November 23rd and 30th, December 14th, 17th, 21st, and 28th, and January 4th, 7th, 11th, 18th, 21st, and 25th. The hunt availability is limited and will be on a first-come, first-served basis. Hunters may only register for one of those hunt days, and registration for those hunts will open on October 3rd, and you can register by calling 334-289-8030. So great opportunity there in Alabama with a bunch of dates available. Now to some national news where legislation was introduced in Congress last week. The Youth Coastal Fishing Program Act of 2022 would create a grant program within NOAA for projects that take children fishing with priority given to underserved communities. This aligns with the American Sport Fishing Association's goal of introducing new anglers, particularly youth, to recreational fishing. The legislation calls for $2 million in grants for projects that include a recreational fishing experience, offer education about marine science and conservation, and provide information on how or where to fish. A letter of support was signed by 22 organizations in favor of that bill, and hopefully this is one we see move forward to provide for youth anglers. Lastly, to Pennsylvania, where the proposed statewide ban on the use and field possession of urine-based deer attractants and other surveyed excretions failed to gain majority support from the Board of Commissioners. The board was split in a 4-4 vote on whether to move the proposal to final adoption. This means that the proposal will not advance at this time, but the commission did point out that while the proposal failed, there will be opportunity to bring it up again in the future. The Board of Game Commissioners also tabled a proposal that would have made changes to a hunter's personal limit of antlerless deer licenses and the number of licenses that could be purchased once over-the-counter tag sales of remaining tags begins. The decision to table the vote is due to Senate Bill 431 making progress towards adoption in the legislature. This bill would allow hunters to buy antlerless deer licenses at any licensing agent and not just through the county treasurers. This bill would resolve many of the issues in the proposal that was before the commissions. With that, As always, if you have any news to send along to me, it would be greatly appreciated. You can reach out to me at bearded_bowhunter21 on Instagram or Mike Salter on Facebook. And with that, enjoy the rest of your ride.
Good old Mike. I got some news. I got some news for you. I just want to shed a little bit of light to this whole Siberian husky wolf thing that's going on here in Montana. There is an actual ongoing investigation that this dog was not alone. There's actually 11 other dogs that had been released into the wild, so they were actually wild dogs. They came at Amber aggressively, barking, howling, and literally trying to attack her, as she would say in her article. So this is not just some puppy that was a pet of somebody's. Somebody actually released them into the wild. It's like releasing a pig into the wild. It then becomes feral and survives on its own, just like these dogs were, and they were actually aggressive and mean. So she wasn't all that wrong. And also the other thing with it is that, like, she was out hunting and thought that it was a wolf puppy. And I think that there was a lot of miscommunications or misrepresentations of what actually happened in the situation. And myself, I tried making a joke out of it and thinking that it was funny, but in all reality, there was a lot of truth behind it. If you guys want to see more of it, I recommend that you go and see and read some of the actual articles about what actually happened, that it wasn't just a pet dog with a collar on that was running around in the woods. It actually was acting and been out in the wild like a wild wolf for quite some time. But I just wanted to shed light on it, and I hope that everyone goes out and reads it and makes their own opinion and not just base it on what I have to say here.
Who knows?
I don't know. It's crazy. Let's get on with the show.
Yeah. Let's roll. Wow. I'm even tongue tied over this. I don't know what to say. That's a new one. Wow.
Mind blowing.
Yeah. Let's roll this thing over and bring Ty on.
All right, let's go. All right. Welcome back, guys. We got our good buddy Tyler Forbes on. What's up, man?
And in this corner, we've got Ty Forbes.
What's going on, guys?
It's time.
I'm so honored you guys even asked me to come on this podcast. So I'm pretty pumped up. Been a fan of you guys for a while, and catching up with you guys at Huntstock was awesome.
Thanks, Ty. We really appreciate it, man. But it's nothing special. It's just a bunch of fucking hoodlums hanging out, just talking, man. Nothing crazy here.
Yeah, but it's still fun, man. I love it. I live this stuff, just like you guys, and it's just it's so nice to find that common ground with people, because not a lot of people like hunting, for one, and for two, I call us the 10%ers. Not a lot of hunters are even as go-getters as us. So it's like, it's cool when you meet those people.
You're right, man. There is a niche group of people that are like that, man. It's we talk about it a lot, and how there's people that are out there and they're doing it like the Weekend Warriors, there's nothing wrong with that, right? And then there's the guys that love it but suck at it, right? Which is me. And then there's a bunch of people that are just all in it killers, gonna kill, like just hardcore driven dudes that hunt hard and just make it happen day in and day out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I get an addictive personality. I just love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, I'm sitting at work. I'm sitting at home. I'm looking at trail cam footage. I'm on YouTube. I'm researching things. I'm looking at topo maps. I mean, I just love it. And I'm super new to the game, fellas. I mean, I've been hunting for 3 years. This is going to be my first full third year hunting. And I'm just obsessed with it. I absolutely love it. It's, I mean, if I could get paid for this, my golly, I'd be a billionaire because I put so many damn hours in. You know what I mean?
Right.
You would never guess in a million years that you've only been hunting for 3 years, bro. Honestly.
Yeah, just 3 years. It's this is going to be my third full-time year. I'd say the first year was kind of like I didn't even have a sight sighted, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just sitting at the bottom of a tree, just kind of observing for the first half year, and that was the year my daughter was born. In 2019, and yeah, I'd say this is go time, year 3 for me.
Well, let's turn this key, man. Let's put these Crocs in 4-wheel drive. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Tyler Forbes. I'm from Marlborough, Mass. Like I just said, I've been hunting for, this is going to be my third year. I've been super into, sports my whole life. I played baseball in college. I played football, the whole 9 yards. Always been a part of like a team community, loving the outdoors. And, it's just, I found hunting. I found hunting through my father that I met at the age of 28. And, it's been unbelievable ever since. It's been everything to me. I'm a police officer too, so I work overnight. So the schedule is very, very, very good for my obsession in hunting.
That's crazy. So what I want to dive into this. So what got you into the outdoors? Like you said that when you met your father not too long ago, like that got you into it. How did that all occur?
Yeah, man. So I grew up my whole life not knowing my dad. I had a stepfather who I loved and treated me like a father, but I didn't have that actual connection with my real father, my biological father. There was a lot of things said, a lot of manipulation, a lot of lies throughout my life, going through, not having a dad and whatnot. And I'm not going to point fingers. I'm not going to, cause any more drifts than we already have, on this side of the air. But yeah, I met my dad at the age of 28. My wife, Rihanna, who, she's my high school sweetheart. We've been together forever. So if anyone knows my life, it's her. And, I just remember one day she was like, you need your dad in your life, or you need to at least try to figure out why he's not in your life. And I was a little reluctant, you know what I mean? Because I went through life thinking my dad wanted nothing to do with me. I thought he just hated me and didn't want to know who I was, and that was not the case. So I was a little reluctant, but I said to my wife, all right, fine. So I sent him a letter. He lives in Westminster, Mass, and I ended up sending him a letter. And within like 2 days, I got a letter back. I actually got an email back. I got an email back. He sent me an email because I left my email on there. And man, I'll never forget it. Me and my wife, we went up to his house in Westminster. Him and my stepmother Vivian, who's a sweetheart. And yeah, we went up there. Me, Rihanna, my son Beckett. He was just born in April. We were up there, I think, in May. So he was super young. And man, what a rush that was. Like, scared, nervous, sad, man, like every single emotion you can have in your body, I had walking up to that door. It was scary. And ever since then, me and my dad are best friends. A lot's been aired out of what happened, and, I'm not going to make that public, but everything happens for a reason. You know what I mean? Everything happens for a reason. And at the end of the day, what's supposed to happen happens. And I'm blessed. I got to meet my dad, know my dad, have a relationship with my dad. He's like a best friend to me. Absolutely adores my kids. Is the best grandfather you could ask for, the best father-in-law to my wife. I also have a half brother too, Zachary, that I met through this too, and we're like best friends as well. It's been a whirlwind, dude, and my dad's a super outdoorsman, put it that way. So, I totally believe that you have it in your DNA or you don't. And he was a coon hunter for years. Him and his dog Blue, and he was a really well-known raccoon hunter. And they killed thousands of raccoons, and through meeting him, he was an athlete growing up. He was a stud football player. He did track, basketball, the whole 9 yards. So we have a lot in common. The only thing we didn't have in common at that time was hunting. And he's a big outdoorsman. He's a fisherman and stuff too. And I still think he's probably the best trout fisherman around. but he was like, hey, he goes, do you want to hunt? I'm like, Dad, I'll do anything to get more time with you. You know what I mean? Like, we got 28 years to make up, brother. You know what I mean? And I remember he gave me his 2015 Bowtech, dude. 2015 Bowtech. And we sighted that puppy in. And dude, the first deer I shot with that thing, that deer season was unbelievable. Doe at 27 yards. it was just what a feeling, man. And since then I've been hooked. And
is that the one that's mounted behind you?
Yeah. Yep. That's my first deer kill ever. And that deer right there, we named her Dixie. That deer right there means more to me than any buck that will ever be on that wall moving forward.
That's wild.
Yeah. And I've just been hooked since. I think I'm hooked too on an emotional level. Just because it's just a bond that me and my dad have, just taken up with each other, and we're super competitive too. So we always, the first year we were always like, yeah, I got a doe first, then he got a doe, and then he got a buck, and then I got a buck. It was a competition because that's just how we are. And now, I mean, I've only been, like I said, I'm going on my third year, but last year he was just like, yep, you take it, buddy. You're a better hunter than me already. But no, it's just it's been a wild ride, man. It's been pretty crazy. It's been crazy.
That's crazy. So what made you like really dive into it hardcore though? Like, cause you're not just the average everyday 3 years in hunter. Like you live, breathe and dream it, like constantly hunting, constantly going places, constantly now chasing
you're 3
trophies.
years in and you're going to shows.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. You don't get much more deep than that.
No, you don't. Hell no, right? Yeah, I just fell in love with, I think, the important part of hunting, just being out there making memories and having fun. And I've always been that guy that just loves that rush, loves a rush of something, the adrenaline, even being a police officer, your emotions are so high, then they're low. They're so high, then they're low. And playing sports, the same thing. And the brotherhood, the brotherhood of playing sports. And then there's also there is a tremendous community within the hunting community. And I think I just fell in love with the overall game, man. To me, it's just like, it's fun. It's a love, but it's also a challenge. Like, it is so hard. It's just so hard. And I just look at everything to do with hunting, like finding bucks, finding where they live. How the hell are they moving out of their beds, going to the feeding sources? How are they evading people? Where are they living? It's just, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I mean, I get so in depth with it where, I'm researching how people are hunting in like Wisconsin, in Ohio, and seeing how it differentiates from like how we hunt here in the Northeast, and trying to, be just well balanced for all states, not just one state, because people that say they can hunt, people that hunt Ohio their whole life and come to Massachusetts and think that they can be successful on a whim, like right away. It's not true. There's no way. I think Northeast is so hard hunting. I think it's the hardest region to hunt in the entire country. And like I said, I mean, I know I've only been hunting for 3 years, but I research this stuff. I'm out there. I see what's out there. It's just so hard, from getting permission to hunt property, to finding where bucks live, dealing with the regulations that we deal with. I mean, we're regulated to a T. I mean, I can speak on behalf of Mass at least. I mean, you got to be 500 feet from a dwelling, and that's with a gun and a bow. You got to be 200 feet
with a bow too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're going to be 250 feet away. Don't quote me, but I think you got to be 250 feet away from a road as well. It's just, it's super hard. It's just very hard. It's very hard to be successful, I feel like. And I think a lot of my success comes from just loving it so much that I just like to tell my story, and I like to share my passion for hunting. And I think that's helped me gain private permissions on a lot of properties, which has helped me become successful.
So what do you do to go to get permission though? Because I guess it's something we really don't talk about when it comes to that. Like, so what makes you successful in trying to get these permission?
Yeah, I mean, see, like a lot of people actually hate on it. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people will, especially Mass.
It's not the in thing right now.
Yeah, like
public's the cool thing.
Yeah, public's a cool thing, but also like in Massachusetts, you can hunt on unposted property. Okay. So if it's not posted, you're good all day. Now, a lot of people will say, dude, if it's unposted, I'm on it. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Me, on the other hand, I mean, I am a public servant as a police officer. I don't like hunting paranoid at all. So yeah, will I hunt on unposted land? I will. But I rather just try to secure the permission and just try to keep it to myself. You know what I mean? Like why would you want to hunt paranoid? Why would you even want to, I don't know. I just feel like you're setting yourself up for failure by hunting paranoid or being a sneak. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's legal, but at the end of the day, you're sneaking onto people's property. I mean, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You're allowed to do it, but I rather just have somebody, a homeowner, say to me, I got no problem with you hunting here. Have at it. Dude, free and easy. See you later. Okay. And that's when I think you can really dive into the property. You can really experiment. You can really hone in on certain sign and bedding areas and food sources to be truly more successful than sneaking onto a property.
Agreed.
So when you say that, like, so you legally are allowed to go onto the property and hunt, right? But if somebody finds out that you're on the property and they don't want you, they can ask you to leave.
They can tell you to leave, get off my property 100%. They can trespass you right on the dime. And then once they post that property, you're gone. So
they have to post the property?
Correct. Yes. Massachusetts homeowners need to post their property or people can go on it and hunt.
Okay. So then you could put all that time, effort into hunting that property for someone to come and tell you that you have to leave.
At 6:00 on a Tuesday night. Yep.
When you're sitting in the stand and it's about to happen.
Yep.
So why wouldn't you go out of your way to get the permission?
I just don't see that. I mean, I just think a lot of people are scared to ask. And I think it's okay. I think it's fair to say a lot of people are scared to ask because a lot of people do not like hunters. I mean, we'll just say that flat out. You know, a lot of people don't like hunters, whether it's they think we're a bunch of Elmer Fuds or whatever it may be. They love animals. I mean, it is what it is. They don't truly understand why we hunt, why we love it, you know, what we're providing for our family and others in need, meat, you know, food. But in my opinion, I rather get told right away before I put in hundreds of hours of work into a piece of property just to get told, get the hell out of here.
Right.
That's me. There's so many bucks around here. There's mature bucks everywhere. There's property everywhere. That's why I just find it so important. And for me, and a lot of people will be like, dude, you're dumb for doing it. Well, that's fine. But that's what I like to do. I like to go on to properties knowing that I'm allowed to be there, knowing that the homeowner's okay with me being there. Cause I feel like then I can treat that property like it's my own and really get into the intestines of it. You know what I'm saying? Like really dive into it, you know, spend hours out there rather than just running out there to change batteries or check a damn card. You know what I mean?
Because you don't want to be seen there.
Yeah. And if I get told, I get told no. I mean, I don't really care. I asked 157 people this past off season, 157 homeowners I went to and asked for permission to hunt.
What was your success rate? Just out of curiosity.
Bad, man. I think I got out of that 100 it was 157. I think I got like 18 properties this year, but that's 18.
It's still worth it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's 18 new properties. And I got like probably my number 2 and my number 3 are on those newly acquired properties this year.
So what did you do to try and acquire those pieces of property?
Pulled them with a cruiser.
Yeah, no. So
that's hit or miss too. Yeah.
Yeah, like so that's a double-edged sword too. Not a lot of people like cops right now, so it's like, you know what I mean. I don't even flash that. I don't even flash that until they ask me what I do for work. But no, I mean, I just tell my story exactly right from the meat and potatoes I just told you about meeting my dad at the age of 28. You know, hey, you know, I'll knock on doors. I'll make phone calls. I usually never text. I never email. I never send letters. I rather talk to them on the phone or talk to them face to face. Show that I'm a trustworthy guy. Show them that I'm a respectful guy, and that my story's authentic. You know what I mean? And you know, it's just I say, hey, listen, you know, I'm 33 years old. I just turned 33, but 33 years old. You know, and I just met my father at the age of 28. He's an avid outdoorsman, and I've fallen in love with this. And I was looking at your property on a map, and I know there's some good deer around here. Would you be okay with me hunting your property? And a lot of times I tell them bow only, because I'm more so bow than gun. I prefer using my bow, and a lot of times they'll say yes, or they'll say, sorry, there's somebody already hunting here, or sorry, thank you for telling your story, but no. Or a lot of times, you believe it or not, man, even the people that say no, they still want to hear your story. So they'll be like, hey, can you tell us a little bit about your story, a little bit more? And I'll tell them. And, I've had many people do that. And then they're like, we love your story. We love your passion. And you're doing the right thing, and your due diligence coming to ask us to go on our property instead of just sneaking onto it. We'll think about you next year. And dude, it's crazy. But one of the pieces of property I got this year, I've been trying to get my first 2 seasons hunting, and I got a no. This year I finally got a yes, and my number one buck, 52 out of the last 65 days, dude. He's daylighted, and he's my number one. I've sent pictures to you, Trev, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's the missing piece. You know what I mean? It's an acre and a half of land, dude. That's it. Acre and a half.
And he's on it every day.
So far, he's got like a 92% clip, baby.
So what are we waiting for? The right wind?
He had a podcast tonight, bro.
Yeah, we held him off.
Yeah. No, opening day is Monday, fellas.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it hasn't opened yet. Yeah.
Well, that's a good reason
my
to wait.
problem.
Yeah.
Opening day is the 3rd here, which is actually awesome, because I think last year opening day was the 5th. So we got an extra 2 days really. So hopefully he's sticking to it,
But go ahead.
I said I got some competition in the area. A good friend of mine, he hunts pretty close to me, and he's got like 100 acres of food plots. It's crazy. He's unbelievable.
Geez.
Yeah,
He's growing the deer, and you're killing him.
Does he know? Does he know about the buck? And does he know about it?
Yeah, he knows. Yeah, he knows.
He's got to come through you to get to him.
Yeah, dude, I find the beds, man. I like beds. I mean, guys that hunt food sources, I'm okay with that too. My personal opinion, where I feel like I've had my successes so far, and I haven't killed giants. Let's get that straight. I haven't killed giants. I've killed deer, and I've done okay. But what's worked for me is finding the bedding and setting up between 85, 75 yards off bedding. And I'm super high on my scent control and my access, and just playing the right sits.
So it's kind of funny that this kind of fell into place, because it's a perfect segment to talk about, because we were talking in the intro about there's a lot of things that kind of people take for granted. And obviously, I mean, I know that you've probably listened to the podcast. So last week we had talked about having glow sticks, right, on a blood trail. And there's a couple of different things that we do that we kind of take for granted, especially for like a new hunter. Those things that we don't explain to everybody else. And in an intro, we were talking about bedding, like how, everyone says food to bed, but what actually is bed, and how can you determine bed? Because everyone would be like, oh, hunt outside of the bed. So what do you do to determine that something is a bedding ground for you to be able to hunt 75, 80 yards outside of it?
I'm looking for cover, man. I'm looking for cover. First, I look at topo maps. I'll look at a topo map, and based off a topography map, you can look at contour lines. You can tell based on a map what is your thick cover. You can tell. And then once I look at topography maps, if it's on public, I dive in. If it's private, I try to get permission just to get in there. And once I'm in there, I just let the boots do the talk, and I'll go to that spot where I feel they're bedding. And a lot of times they're betting in those spots. They're betting in those spots where they can get the wind. They can get the wind from all directions. They can get those thermals. They got the cover, and usually like it's a buffer. Like they'll bet in thick stuff, and then they'll have a buffer of mild thickness, and then it'll kind of open up, And I try to get into that open area like off about 45 yards, but a lot of my properties, I mean, it's super urban hunting. I'm on the, I have the legal limits. I'm 500 feet from dwelling. I'm 250 plus away from roadways and the whole 9 yards. But a lot of these bucks, man, they're bedding pretty damn close to houses. Man, deer want to know what's going on. I mean, deer are curious creatures. They want to be at an earshot of what's going on. They want to know who's coming in the woods. They want to know when that person's driving home and pulling in the driveway. At least where I hunt, and I've noticed it based off, trail cameras and doing my own scouting. I mean, I'll sit on the side of the road for hours, and I've done this. And if I kill my number one buck daggers, you'll see me in the car sitting there like a creep, just to watch daggers, my target buck, come across a roadway where I thought he crossed to go to the ag fields at 7:45 at night, and he did. And I mean, that's like when I talk about being like a 10%er and wanting to be the best that I can be, like that is going beyond just looking at trail cameras and boots on the ground. You're putting in time that some people don't even think about doing. I mean, I was sitting in my car with a damn camera waiting for him to cross, whether he did or didn't. Luckily he did, along with his running mate too. So, but it's like that's how you figure these guys out. You know what I mean? And even figuring them out and getting that much intel, dude, I may never kill him. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean shit. I love doing it,
Yeah, but what would be the difference, right? So going back to what you were saying about the Northeast and how hard it actually is compared to some of the other areas, Ohio, Illinois, Iowa, that those guys are going out and they're going and they're watching over bean fields, they're watching over cornfields. You're doing the same exact thing. You're just doing it in our world where you're going out and scouting and watching and glassing. But you're glassing in a neighborhood.
Yard.
That's the only difference. Yeah, what's the difference?
That's the nice thing about the Cruiser is you got the little car-mounted spotlight.
Dude, this isn't even the town where I don't even hunt in the town where I'm a cop, but I can't tell you how many times people have like couples have walked by me, like going on a little like evening stroll, and I'm sitting there like a creep. I'm like shit, pretending to be on the phone, like I broke down
in a brand new vehicle.
Yeah,
done that.
Yeah. Pretending to be on the phone and just being weirded out, and but like that's where like going back to that paranoia thing, right? Like I'm doing nothing wrong, but it just feels wrong. You know what I mean? That's why I can't hunt on unposted property and just have that in the back of my mind. Like 3 kids are going to run out back with their dad and the dad's going to see me in the tree and say, get the fuck out of here. It's just
right. No, I don't
even want to be put in that situation. I don't even want to be put in that situation.
And, all of us, like yourself having Anchor Point Productions and then, be working for the city and stuff like that. Like it's an important thing to make sure that you cross your T's and dot your I's. Like it's all of us do everything 100% legit and legal. And, one of the things that comes with it, I'd hate to bring up negativity, but when you go and you do something that you're supposed to be doing constantly, there's always some type of negativity where somebody is looking down on you and talking about the bad things that you're doing constantly. So there's a jealousy role that plays in this. And I've had it happen 1,000,001 times. And guys literally are like, he can't be hunting legally. How can he shoot animals if he's doing it legally? You know what I'm saying? Like they constantly always saying things. So we have to cross our T's and dot our I's constantly. We have to do our due diligence every single day that we're in the woods.
100%. I mean, I just look at it I love hunting so much, but I'm not going to throw my job away by doing something unethical. It's just not in my nature to do something unethical. But you're right. People, man, with success comes hatred. It's just the way it is. It's such a fact. And I become really good friends with Jake Bennett, and I watch his podcast too with you guys. And I love Jake, and he's a good friend of mine. We've become really close friends, and he gets a ton of hate. You know what I mean? But he's so successful, and he's actually really a genuine guy, and he's a good dude. He's a good hunter, and people are going to hate. It's just the way it is.
What was that saying that we used to have?
You know you're doing it right when you got haters.
Yeah, something like it was something along those lines, and it's so true. Like it's so true. I hate to bring negativity because
Done enough of that going around
Yeah,
lately.
exactly. There always is, but no, it's those things, man. We have to dot our T's and cross our I's, man. Why do it illegally? It's so much more of a success. I mean, how many deer behind you, behind me, behind Steve that you did because you did it right, and it means that much more. You can't look at a deer on a wall that was illegally taken. It just doesn't mean the same. It really would never mean the same to you.
Absolutely not. Nope. I agree.
So what have you been doing early season? Like obviously your season doesn't open until the 3rd. So like what do you've been still grinding, bro? It hasn't just stopped because
I was going to say there are stories pre-deer season.
Yeah, I mean, I just man, it's been a go. I've kind of narrowed down like my focus to like 5 properties right now in Mass. 5 properties, 5 shooters, with a couple outliers on each property that if they come through, I probably will take. Especially being a year 3 guy, you know what I mean? You hear these guys, man, that it just, these guys, man, give that deer another year, or, you shot that deer. He's not as big as his full potential. Bullshit, man. I think that's the worst sportsmanship ever. There's nothing I dislike more, and that it's just disgusting to me than guys hating on others for killing certain deer. I'm going to tell you right now, I'll never judge anybody for taking a deer, taking a small buck or a button buck or taking a small doe or whatever it be. If it makes you happy and it gets you excited and you get that rush, it's you and that animal out there. It's nobody else. And for people to judge others, it just drives me crazy. It really drives me crazy. And you see it so much, and you just see it so much, and you see friends doing it. Actually, you actually, truly, you see friends do it. And I wouldn't even call them friends anymore. But that's why I don't really like the a lot of the hunting forums and stuff. It's just kind of a lot of negativity, and it kind of sucks that people are like that. But again, going back to what we spoke about, jealousy. People are jealous. I mean, hey, if you want to sit tight for a 180-inch deer and not shoot anything unless it's 180 inches, good luck. But good luck shooting a deer in 50 years or never.
Well, see, and I find it funny, with exception to few people, that tends to be the must be nice guys.
Yeah.
I'm holding out for a 180. I'm holding out for a 180. Oh, you shot $5 or $3 and 2 does. And I mean, you filled your freezer. They're the must be nice. Must be nice to just have that many deer. It's like, no, dude, you have the same amount of deer. You just choose to be so picky. You didn't kill anything.
Yeah. And you know what? What I say to that is pretty simple. That doe that's mounted right there, if I kill a 200-inch deer, moving on in my life, in my hunting career, if I kill a 200-inch deer, that doe right there, to all the people that care about how big a deer is, that deer means more to me than any deer I will ever kill. Exactly. And that's a doe.
Exactly.
And that's all that matters to me. I don't care what people think about me. I mean, I get enough people that think about me differently anyway from my profession. I could care less what people think about me, how I hunt, because I know I'm doing it ethically. I know I'm creating memories. I'm having fun. I'm sharing it with my son, who's 4.5, who lives for this stuff. And it's just, everything's a trophy to me, man. If you're okay with pulling your bow back or pulling the trigger to a firearm to kill an animal, it better damn well be a trophy to you, in my eyes.
Yep.
You're taking the life of an animal. Respect it.
So you may not know this actually, because, well, you may or may not, but so last year I made a vow to that I wanted to kill. I was going to target and shoot a small buck. It's what I wanted to do. Right. And I did that. That's exactly what I did. And I only did it for the purpose of that. It's not about going and shooting big deer all the time. It's just about getting that trophy and what it means. And I think a lot of people lose sight of the camaraderie, the deer camp, the love and the passion of the brotherhood, of the things that, that you love in the outdoors, because, nothing meant more to me. Like when Marduk had shot his deer this year and I got to go there and be part of that during that hunt, that meant just as much as me shooting a 150, bro. I mean, it was just so cool to be there, to help him track, to see his reaction when he got to pick up the deer, to take pictures. I mean, dude, that we all lose. I personally lost sight of that. And you don't, I'm glad that it snapped out pretty quickly, but like, it's not about shooting big deer. It's not. It's about being in camp and the camaraderie and the brotherhood and the phone calls. Like when somebody shoots a deer, nothing means more to me when somebody calls me and tells me that they shot a deer. Like, I love it, dude. I absolutely love it. And I love to play through the story. I love to hear how they did it, because when I was younger, when there was I think that the outdoor community has kind of lost a lot of this, but like when I was younger as a kid, like when somebody shot a deer, there was like 5-10 of us that would go and help them track the deer. I mean, everybody went. Like, we all went to go see that. And everyone kind of loses that. Like, who cares that it's 200 inches? Who cares? Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree. And like last year was my first year filming, and I'll be lying to you if I said I thought the same way I think now last year. I mean, I pressured myself I just pressured myself very hard in the beginning of the year. I passed on quite a bit of bucks early season in October last year. And you're filming, you want to kill these big bucks. Everyone wants to be like Seek One. Everyone wants to be like Midwest Whitetails. Everyone wants to be the next big thing, Just Hunt Club. But, I pressured myself very, very hard, and it took the fun out of it for that split second, that 1 month. And then October 22nd came through, and Mr. Boss, we have an episode on Anchor Point of Mr. Boss, the story of Mr. Boss, but he was like a ghost buck to me. I never thought he was going to even show up. And he came through at 7:30 in the morning, and never seen a deer like that in my life. Buck fever. Yep, big time. Sitting there trying to film and shit, and I got great footage of him, and I knew exactly where he was going, and 31-yard shot. I'm like, all right, money. And I just remember I pulled back, and I did that. He stopped on a dime, but dude, he didn't snap his neck, man. He did this long wave and look like he just dipped his head and waved it like a goddamn elephant trunk.
Like, I dare you.
like he's heard that Matt before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's definitely heard that before. And I was just mesmerized. I'll be honest. I didn't hit a branch. My sight wasn't fucked up. There was nothing. He didn't duck my arrow. I was mesmerized. And I remember I took my eye off that sight to see what I just saw. And then when I went right back into my sight quickly, I had him lined up on the 20-yard pin instead of the 30-yard pin. Yep. And I shot low. It was just a flesh wound. And he took off and he was gone. And at that moment, I was like, screw filming. I started to blame everything else other than myself. Hey, here, I'm a beginner, and I was so hard on myself, and I saw myself taking the fun out of it. And then that's when the flip switched. And then December 7th, I didn't see a deer again. I saw a bunch of deer just out of range all November, dude. And December 7th rolls around, and my buddy who actually who has all those food plots, he actually invited me over to his food plot last year and hunt over some soybeans. And December 7th, I took a nice 6-pointer with the muzzle loader to get the piggy off my back. And it's actually funny, glow sticks. So I'm going to give a shout out to my boy, Joe Hall. He's a state trooper. He's well known in the hunting community out here. And Steve Cummings. They actually came and did the recovery with me, and Joe Hall uses glow sticks as well. And it's actually in the episode on Anchor Point. You can see the glow sticks.
That's crazy.
So, huge shout out.
Was he at Huntstock, the trooper?
Yeah, that was my boy.
Oh,
You told him
he's the one I told he couldn't park his cruiser there.
Yeah. That's him. He's got glow sticks too, bro.
Great guy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
He's the big shed hunter.
Yeah, big shed hunter, dude.
Yeah, he's awesome.
All his sheds were at our table.
Yes. I remember chit chat. He came by and we chat with him for quite a bit.
Yeah, he's awesome. So
I think we make a glow stick T-shirt.
Yeah,
dude, I'd buy it.
I agree. On it.
So yeah, so I killed that deer December 7th, had a great time with the recovery process, and the light just switched there. I was like, this is what it's about, brotherhood and having fun and going home and seeing my 4-year-old kid just glow, you know what I mean? Just glow and be so proud of his dad. And that at the end of the day means the world to me, because my dad is proud of me for doing, what I've done so far. And it's kind of cool. And then I got a nice 9-pointer, Christmas Eve, with the bow, and here we are. So yeah, I mean, off season's been a grind, man. It's been a lot of calls, a lot of walking, a lot of trail cameras, a lot of honing in on bucks, finding bedding, just a little bit of everything, and then obviously mixing in life and family and work.
So I guess the most important thing, man, is this bear hunt. I want to hear about this bear hunt because I'm jealous because I didn't shoot a bear.
Yeah. So, oh man,
the trip went 8 hours, and
I know me and Tyler were
Ty's like 2 hours away.
Yeah, no, me and Ty were talking about it back and forth. Well, I was on the way in to go bear camp. You hadn't been in yet, and I stayed. Right. So
Yep. Yeah. So it kind of bear camp was kind of like on a whim, I mean, I never even thought I was going to hunt bear this year. And there's actually a TV show, guys from West Virginia, Called to Hunt. They're called, that's their name, Called to Hunt. They're on the Hunt channel. They're sponsored by WTF, Whitetail Forensic Camo, like us. And they actually invited Nate and myself to go to bear camp with them this year up in Maine. And we were like, yeah, let's do it. And we went up there and we went to Bounty Hunter Guide Services in New Portland, Maine. And Orrin is the owner. And man, he is just what a wealth of knowledge that guy is. I think the whole state of Maine knows who he is. And we get there on a Sunday, and it was just, dude, I don't know, man. I've been in some dicey situations in my career, and walking out that first night when I got out of the stand was some scary stuff, dude. I mean, it was like I felt like I was going to be murdered just driving to where we went in the first place, and it was just wild, man. It was like we drove an hour. We drove an hour and a half from our cabin to get where we were going in the first place. We're on the Canadian border. And we drove 10 miles up these paper trails, and Orrin drove us in the first night, me and Nate. He pulled over. He's like, all right, this is where your site's going to be. I'm like, all right, cool. It's like 2 miles in off the paper trail. So we're like 12 miles into the middle of nowhere, like nowhere. And Nate took my car. We were actually in the Silver Bullet, my little Nissan Rogue. I don't know how the hell it made it through this trip, but it did. And so Orrin drove me up to the site the first night. Gets me in, and I get up in the tree, set up all my camera gear and whatnot. And it was rainy Sunday. It was rainy Monday, crappy weather. Saw nothing. Getting out of the stand, I'm walking down an old logging trail, which is like 2 miles to the road. And dude, I got like coyotes on my right. I got coyotes on my left. And it's just like, I was like, holy shit, man, no cell service. It was kind of, it was an experience. It was actually numbing, it was cool. It was, it's like the definition of being in the outdoors, the wilderness. It was just, it was a pretty special feeling, but a scary feeling in the beginning. And then, as the walk continued, you're just looking down, and every bush you see in the dark looks like a goddamn bear coming at you. And
your mind's playing tricks on you constantly.
Yeah, so I'm like doing interviews and shit while I'm walking just to like get my mind off everything. And it was cool. I get down to the paper trail, and they came and picked me up, and we went back to the cabin. So day 2 happens. Orrin's like, all right, you guys are on your own, drive to the site. So me and Nate drive to the site. Nate drops me off at my site. I walk into the site, get my camera gear all set up. Ready to rock. Now, mind you, I was leaving the very next day. So it was just going to be a 3-day hunt for me. I had to get back home for work. So I'm sitting there, and it's like, it just nothing was happening. All of a sudden I hear Oren come flying up the road, and he loads the barrel, puts the bait in the barrel and whatnot, and then takes off. Like an hour and a half later, I think it was like 5:30 at night. I hear ruffling to my left, like in a couple branches snapping and stuff. I'm like, all right, maybe that's a bear. So I'm doing my interview in the tree and whatnot, and then I see like this shadow flash behind it's like a swamp in the back. So you got like a huge like ridge to the right, and then it drops down. I'm at the bottom of the ridge, and then it kind of like flattens out and then drops down a swamp. So he came up from the swamp and was kind of like circling around, like Jay hooking around the bait to try to get the, to catch the wind and whatnot. And the wind was actually going right to him. So, thank God my scent control was pretty good. But I see the flash come, and then all of a sudden I see this little pine tree behind the bait next to a big pine start, waving. I'm like, oh man, that's a bear. And it was cool, man. It was like a 3-year-old sow. It was a small sow. I got footage of her for like 12 minutes. The weather was not good while we were there. I probably could have been a little bit more patient, but man, I've never had my heart race like that before in my life. When I first saw her, I was like, I didn't think I was going to be able to ever even pull the trigger. You know what I mean? It was just, man, what a rush. Like it just toppled buck fever. Like it was wild.
Was it that different to whitetails?
Dude, yeah, it was. I can honestly say it was that different. It was, it was wild, dude. It was crazy. I've never seen a bear in my life in person.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, that was the first bear you've seen from the stand ever?
Never seen a bear from a stand.
Yeah.
Never even seen a bear in person, period,
right.
Dude.
Yeah.
I live in Marlboro. I live in a small city out here in Massachusetts. And, I've never seen a bear. I've seen a bear on trail camera and stuff, but that's about it. And I just let her do her thing. And I knew she wasn't a big bear, but again, we go back to memories, right? We go back to memories and what gives you that rush and what's a trophy to you. And man, in that moment in time, she was the biggest bear I've ever seen in my life. And she was beautiful, dude. And I just dropped her right on her ass, dude. One shot right through both shoulders and just dropped her. And
you shoulder shot it?
Yeah, I shoulder shot her. She just dropped, and it like went through the first shoulder and went like right through the kind of like clipped the heart, and then just blew out in the lower part of the other the behind the shoulder. And dude, it was unbelievable. It was just what a rush it was. And then you walk up to the bear, and I'm like, dang. I thought that bear was massive, and it's like,
oh yeah,
yeah, dude. It's like they deflate, man. It's like, what the fuck just happened to you? You know what I mean? Like you were like a monster, honey. What happened? But she was a 2-3-year-old sow. Probably last year's cub, and she was unbelievable, man. And actually, I got her in my freezer still now. I'm gonna get a full mount done. At Trophy Fish Taxidermy, and Darren Fontaine's going to do it, and he's another sponsor of us at Anchor Point. And man, it was just unbelievable.
It's so funny that you say like did it deflate, because there's always like everybody always talks about how like you go back to camp and somebody's like, I can't believe I shot that thing, like so much smaller than, and it happened
every time.
Bear is so hard to judge because of the rush. It really is. There's
a few things there. One, you don't really have a lot of experience looking at bears. Like you see deer all the time.
Exactly.
Correct.
That's the big one. It's the first bear you've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you people give you those tips, like Joe Hall's a big bear hunter too. And, we text every day, and he's like, dude, he goes, you'll know when it's a big bear, that back will be like more than halfway up on that barrel, that head will be, over the barrel.
If ears will be as wide as its eyes.
Yeah. It'll look like a friggin' pumpkin head. If the paws are up on the top, that means it's probably a smaller bear. Dude, her paws were on the top the whole goddamn time while she was eating. I still thought she was a monster, dude. So it's like, you just forget, you know what I mean? You forget.
Whatever.
You're just in the moment, dude. And And I think like for me, like with Anchor Point, and Nate will probably say the same thing. I think like for me, I think the most important thing is storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
You may not kill the biggest deer, you may not kill the biggest bear, elk, whatever it may be you're hunting. But if you can storytell, that's super, super special because the story always outweighs the size, I think.
Agreed.
You can make any animal as big as you want it to be in your own imagination when you're telling the story.
We've had some epic doe kills.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah. It's just that.
I've killed some 450-pound does, bro. You've never seen nothing like it. I promise you that, bud. I promise you that.
I love me some does.
It's like you said, man, it's the memories that get made, the stories that get told, and it's so important. I mean, the industry in itself, right? So is like, I talk about it a lot, but the industry started out as like farms going, no, what was it? Guide service. Oh. So you would go on guided hunts, right? Like it was all about guides. And it was all about going somewhere and paying for a guided hunt and shooting big whitetails. Then it was making your own farms, DIY, and food plots and growing your own deer. Then it's public land. And now it's saddle hunting and e-bikes on public land, you know, as they've extended it. And I really think that what it should be or what it is going to be is just the camaraderie and the stories and what it really means to you. It's not about the big deer. It's not about that. And that's something actually in the early 90s was a big thing in the North by like Vermont and stuff. I mean, how many people went to deer camp and, you know, that's kind of a dying breed that, you know, there'd be 15 guys in camp on a weekend and they'd play cards 90% of the weekend, you know, and not even hunt, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm on year 3 and I feel like, you know, I started out, you know, I'm still a beginner, but I'm starting out hunting where everyone is all about these massive deer that should be killed. And, you know, you should be passing on 8-pointers that are 2 years old or 8-pointers that are 3.5, 4 years old. Oh, wait till they're 5.5. Like, just to me, that's crazy. Like, I just, you know, hey, I'm up for the challenge. Trust me. Like, that's what I'm seeking. Don't get me wrong. I'm seeking that. I'm like, that's my initial primary want and goal, and you know that's what I drive for. But if something comes through that, you know, is 115-inch 120-inch deer and it gets my jollies going, dude, I'm gonna absolutely stuff it. You know, I don't care.
Well, and that's a big part of it is you can't sit and pass the 3-year-olds that look good unless you have control of the property of everywhere that deer ranges.
Correct.
You know, we don't all have 1,000-acre farms where we can sit and watch and go, okay, that deer needs another year. That's a shooter. Okay, we have 5 shooters and 20 watchers, and manage that. So every year you have shooters and you have up and comers. When you're hunting small parcels, 1.5 acres, for instance, a nice buck comes through, you take your shot.
Yep.
I mean, that's common sense.
And that's why I think the Northeast just grows unbelievable hunters. And I truly believe that. I believe the best hunters in the Northeast are the best hunters in the country. I truly believe that. I think.
What makes you think that?
I just think, even going back to what Steve just said, you know, you have a lot of these big, you know, a lot of these big time YouTube channels or big time hunters that have huge followings and huge success rates and kill these 200-inch deer, 180-inch deer, 150-inch deer on a regular. They're on thousands upon thousands of acres of farmland that they can manage these deer. Like, these deer are staying on their property. They're not bouncing from property to property. For the most part, a lot of these deer are staying and being managed by that property. And another big thing too is, like, a lot of people don't realize this in other states. Like, you cannot bait in Massachusetts. Baiting is not even on the table. You can bait in Ohio and kill 180-inch deer over corn and be considered an unbelievable hunter. Yet if you bait in Massachusetts and you get caught baiting, you're a scumbag.
Right.
And you're a shitty hunter.
Right.
So tell me, how that is fair. And trust me, I'm against baiting. And I won't even watch YouTube channels or YouTube episodes where you can see bait in the episode, because it's just a turnoff to me. It's just not, it's a turnoff.
That's your New England. That's your New England thoughts. That's you being raised in New England and being in an area where you cannot. Well, so it's funny that you bring this up, right? Because I kind of wanted to talk about this in a podcast. So, okay. So those, like you said, those YouTube people that are baiting, right? And then us in the Northeast not being able to bait. So we have so many times when people go and bait. Okay, we have a mutual friend right now that went out to the Midwest, went out and shot a deer on bait, right? And when he brought that video clips back to the Northeast, everybody totally dived on him on how unethical it is to hunt over bait and shoot an animal over bait, right? It's because we in our minds think that it's so wrong for you to bait, and it's unethical and it's unfair to shoot over bait. But what's the difference of a food plot or sitting over? There is no difference.
We've had this conversation multiple times. Yep. I mean, at the end of the day, legal is legal. If it is legal,
trust me,
it's all fine.
And if I were to go to hunt Ohio, I'd do the same exact thing. My whole problem on it is this. It's just, it's
You're
going
not
back
wrong,
to,
bro. You're not wrong.
No, I know. I'm trying to word it in a way that I'm trying to think, you know.
Well, so
my point is this: people that hunt over bait on a regular basis, right? What they can say is, well, everybody baits here, so it's actually not as easy because everybody's baiting. So there's a bunch of bait piles everywhere. So these deer are used to it.
And totally that's what I was fixing to say.
Yep, I totally get that, and I completely understand that whole concept. But if those same people came to, let's say, Massachusetts, dude, and
we've had this conversation,
was thrown into a piece of public land and said, "Hey, go find the deer. Good luck." Are they going to be as successful as somebody that hunts in the Northeast? Absolutely not. No way.
We have hammered that stake into the ground many times.
Yeah, man.
But if you take one of the better hunters in the Northeast and you say, go hunt Ohio, and they put him in public land, I guarantee you that hunter is going to be able to be successful, if not come close to being successful, because they can read sign. They know how to get dirty. They know how to grind. They know how to find where those bucks are living and traveling.
Yep. So prime example is I live in the Northeast. Mardik lives in the Northeast. And we went out, and Steve lives in an area where it's pretty similar to the Northeast, right? So he's in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and we went out and hunted public land in the Midwest. Did we all get on deer? 110%. Did we see deer? Absolutely. Were some of us successful? Absolutely. But the thing is that we were able to, our woodsmanship from living in these areas and hunting these areas and having to read the sign and not hunt over bait, we were able to get onto deer in the Midwest. Nothing against it, but let's be honest.
Bro,
have you ever looked?
Finding the deer there is easy.
I will say
it right now. Finding the deer there was easy. Killing them, different story. That's a little bit of luck and a little bit of timing and situations, and
depending where you are though, bro, because like if you are in eastern part of the state, then it's hilly. Right, exactly. But if you are on the ag side of it, like the western side, it's very, what would you agree to that? Like that it's a little bit easier because the ags and the blocks of wood.
It's so obvious. When you get into the ag land, it's like there's one block of timber. There's one pinch point connecting it out. Like it just highlighted, like it stands out. It's not
here
so
where
much.
it's like, okay, I've got to find a deer in 200,000 acres of timber.
And that goes back to looking at topography maps.
Yeah, you have to check every single finger, every single ridge, every single leeward side.
But once you find that finger, you find that ridge, it's game on.
Right. Well, exactly, because we know how to read topographical maps because we're born in an area where you have to use a topographical map to your...
Right, and then the next day, the wind shifts and he's on a different finger.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. And that's what I meant when I say it was easy, because you have limited timber. You have limited pinch points.
Yeah.
You can look at it and go, of course they're going to move here. On
Just
the
put a
wind
corn pile on it.
If I accident,
I'm just getting inventory, you know?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
No, I mean, it's just, and like I said, don't get me wrong. People across the country that are allowed to hunt over bait, hey, that's cool. They're doing everything legally correct. And I'm not against that whatsoever. I want to make that super clear. I'm not just a newbie here that's going to start running their mouth thinking I'm, Jackie Bushman and can speak on behalf of everybody. I'm just saying,
your boy.
Yeah, it is my boy on TikTok. But I'm just speaking from my point of view. I just think you got to really grind to be a stud in the Northeast. You have to. I mean,
Yeah, and
like, dude, Pat Burns in the Electric Buck.
yeah,
That kid is a grinder, dude. Like his story is just
Look at Neil Pendleton.
Neil Pendleton, dude. I talk to Neil Pendleton on a regular basis, and man, he, like, even the buck he just killed, like, just having the instinctual knowledge to know that he shot that buck the exact same day last year and missed, and just to go back to that stand in that same exact tree, just to think, you know what I mean?
He's gonna show up,
and he did, and he killed it. So,
and that's the biggest thing.
I don't know if that's a secret for that he's holding for his episode. So I don't know if I should have said that, but
it's too late.
Surprise.
Send it.
Yeah. But that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I don't know, man. I've met so many people in the Northeast that are just unbelievable, and I've met other people, trust me, throughout the country that hunt as well. And I don't know. It's just man, the Northeast is tough to hunt.
It's crazy that the melting pot of outdoorsmen that are in the Northeast, bro. And in all honesty, because you bring up a valid point where there is the urban hunters of the Northeast, there's the suburb hunters of the Northeast, and then there's the big woods hunters of the Northeast.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people forget about those guys, the trackers, those guys that get in those big woods and they really know how to track a deer down by its hoof print. I mean, how blood. There's a ton of those guys that are just, Laney Benoit. I mean, some of these guys are just absolute killers in the North Woods. Jeff Doyle, yeah, and they get on a track. So if you put those guys in the Midwest, let me see what happens. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I've been hunting in New Hampshire the past week in big woods, and I'm lost. Like, I have no idea what I'm really doing. I'm just so used to backyard hunting here in Massachusetts and getting these private pieces of property. I'm trying to learn how to hunt in the big woods, and I'm seeing deer on a regular basis, but I'm just not at that point of knowledge to get close to what I want to get. You know what I mean? I'm seeing the does, I'm seeing all that stuff, but I'm not I'm not really getting to where I want to be. So I've actually been talking to Neil for the past week in regards to that. And he's a wealth of knowledge with big woods and things like that as well. So it's like those guys, like, they're just, it's just experience, and they've been doing it for years. It's incredible to hear them talk. It really is.
And I think that's our mindset. That's why when we look at bait and we go, oh, you set a bait pile and you watch it, and then you're going to set that tree over the bait pile. Whereas you compare that to, I had to put in miles of work and thought process and play the chess game to make it work. To you, that's a more exciting hunt. That's more fulfilling. That's the difference in mentality is, where you can bait and those guys that do it and they can bring those bucks in and get it all working in their favor, to them, that's exciting. Mm-hmm. But to us, it's like, okay, well, that's not like what we do.
Right. And it's kind of the tough part about the whole hunting experience too, is like, I wish the rules and regulations were just neutral across the country. I just wish everything was like the same. That way there was no clear cut, like, you get guys getting arrested and locked up for jail that it's completely fine to do in Ohio. Like, that's crazy.
Tyler, we're even worse in Connecticut.
Yeah.
A third of Connecticut can bait and the other 2/3 can't in the same state.
Right. Like, dude, Rhode Island, you can't even go on unposted property to hunt. If it's not posted, you still can't go on it. If it's private,
same Connecticut.
Same in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Like that's hard. That's hard. So these guys that are successful in Rhode Island, whether they have private property or not, like it's super, super impressive. Like those guys from the Rhode Island Whitetails, Ryan and Dan, like I talk to Ryan quite a bit, we'll text, and they're just wealth of knowledge. And I think that's what kind of helps me, learn as I go, is just picking the brains of people. And if one thing I can tell to any beginner, anybody getting into hunting, it's not too late. And just pick the brains of other people that have knowledge in the game. And you'd be surprised how quickly you'll learn, And don't be afraid to reach out to people. A lot of people are afraid, like, oh, that person's probably going to think I'm stupid.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I reach out to people, and if they think that, all right, well, then I'll just move on to the next person that may help me.
I have people reach out to me all the time, e-scouting, looking at property with them, and getting my opinion. I get off on it. I just love talking deer. It doesn't matter who it is. I'll help them out every way I can.
Yeah, me and you talk quite a bit around the campfire.
I think that name Dagger sounds familiar. I think I held the sheds, didn't I?
I think you did. Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to kind of tie all that together that I noticed this year is two big things for me. Is I was fortunate to go to Harrisburg with these guys and hang out with some absolute Midwest killers. And this is one reason why I don't like getting tied up with the score bucks, because we're hanging out with these guys that have a wall full of giant deer. And nobody gives a shit about my pile of, well, this buck I shot was a 5.5-year-old. This was a 6.5-year-old. Here's another 5.5. But guess what? Nobody cares because he was 110 inches. It's the same deer. It's the same age class, but they only focus on the inches. You know what I mean? But then we went to Huntstock, and then I met a bunch of guys, and I'm like, these are my kind of people. These people appreciate those bucks because they know how few and far between they are and how much you have to work for that age class of deer, where that same deer in the Midwest, they scarf at it just because of what he's wearing for headgear. It's still a 6.5-year-old deer is a 6.5-year-old deer.
Right. Perfect example is that buck I sent Trev and Steve the other night.
Big Hoss.
Yeah, Big Hoss.
I didn't see that.
You were COVID out.
Yeah, you were out of it, dude.
Yeah, you were taking ivermectin or something.
This buck, 5.5.
Little NyQuil.
Yeah, I mean, just giant body deer, and was nothing. He had main beams, not a single point.
He's awesome.
Oh, Big Hoss.
Like
okay, I know that deer.
Yeah,
awesome. just straight main beams. And we went back. We talked about that deer and similar deer, the one your dad shot like that. We talked for half an hour just on how freaking cool that is. And then they score 30,
21 inches.
But
21 inch, 9.5-year-old.
Yeah. With 4 mass measurements and some main beam.
Who cares? Those are the best deer ever, bro. Like, I love those deer, man. I love shooting weird, gwonky, funky fucking deer because
I saw that thing. I got so damn excited. I was like, I'll probably never see him again. He's a rando. I've never seen him before. But if that deer comes through, I'm shooting him first.
I can't get over how big of a body he is. He looks like a New England deer.
Well, yeah.
You have smaller body deer down there.
Eastern coastal buck, dude. There's just, we don't usually produce bucks of that body. So for him to come through, I was like, my jaw dropped. I was just stunned.
It's going back on the Midwesterners when you were talking about Midwesterners over New England deer, right? A lot of those guys have a lot of respect when you shoot a halfway decent buck here because they realize that there's not a lot of big bucks here. So when the big buck does get shot, they hold a high respect for it. They really do.
No, it's true.
Honestly,
it's true.
I mean, they honestly do.
Yeah, they do. Believe it or not, I saw her on one of the hunting forums on Facebook today. There was actually somebody that grew up hunting in Ohio. And we're not picking on you, Ohio. Ohio just seems to be the state that keeps popping up. But this guy was from Ohio.
We all hunt Ohio.
Ohio sucks. Nobody should go there.
This guy was from Ohio, and this is his first year hunting in Massachusetts. And he didn't know where to find deer. He didn't know where to hunt. And this is a guy who's been hunting Ohio his whole life, and probably has 20 mounts of deer over 140 inches. You know what I mean? Nice. And he couldn't find pieces of property to hunt. He doesn't know where to hunt. He doesn't know where to go. And he actually posted that on Facebook. I mean,
it's crazy. We talk about it all the time. We're like, put some big Northeast boys in the Midwest, and we will succeed. We will take on any Midwesterner. And I listen. I'm willing to take on the challenge. You got a farm, you want the Northeast boys to come down and show you how to kill deer. We're more than willing. And I'm not just talking pompous cockiness. It's the truth. I have no problem going out and doing it.
Try to go viral with that on TikTok with the 100 followers. We should have an open challenge. Tyler Jordan, let us come down, brother.
Tyler Jordan.
Calling him out.
I had a guy at a wedding. We were talking, you're at a wedding, everyone's talking big deer and stuff like that. And, he's flashing pictures, and the guy shot a couple big deer, So I started talking deer with him, and he's like, "What's your biggest deer?" And I've thrown out a number, and he's like, "Oh, I don't have to worry about you." Just because of the number of inches. And I looked him straight in the face. I said, "Be thankful I don't hunt near you, because your deer would be fucked."
Yeah. Shit, that's just that, and that's why I have no problem shitting on them over there, because it's they, like I said,
That's when you just say 200 pounds, 7.5 years.
Yeah.
Invite us down for a challenge. Let's make that viral. Let's make that viral, Trev. Invite us down to the Midwest. Let's go.
We should. We'll make a TikTok this week and we'll put it on.
Worst comes to worst, if someone accepts the challenge, you get a free hunt in the Midwest.
That's what I would say. That was my goal. I don't know about you guys.
We'll tag them all. Waddell, friggin' Tyler Jordan. Let's roll.
We'll go over them booger bottom bucks.
Jackie Bushman. We got them all. Let's go.
Yeah, we'll bring the whiskey and the bows and arrows. You have the deer. We'll find them.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing better than that. Well, what better way, man? I want to ask you, obviously, probably know the question I'm going to ask, but I'll ask it anyways. Is Tyler, what drives you outdoors, man?
Man, just spending it with my son. Being out there with my boy Beckett. He's 4.5 years old. Loves shooting his bow. Loves already looking for sign out in the woods, and just making memories. I love making memories, and I love telling the stories, making stories, and sharing it with everybody. And to the ones that follow and like to go on the journey, thank you. And for the ones that don't, that's all right. No big deal.
They'll just keep on doing it on their own then.
Keep doing it on your own, baby. All I know is I'm going to be in the woods 24/7, 365 days a year.
Love it.
That's awesome.
I love it.
That's
Perfect.
fucking awesome.
Well, before we cut this thing off, Ty, where can everybody find you? How can they watch the videos? Give us the rundown.
Yeah, so myself and Nate August, we co-own Anchor Point Productions. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram. We just launched my bear episode from Maine. Nate's got a bear episode. He was able to hammer one too. He's got an episode coming out within the next week or two. And then we're jumping right into opening day mass here, October 3rd. Hopefully I can get punch a tag this week in New Hampshire as well. And if you want to and you support police and the Thin Blue Line, feel free to follow me on TikTok at Officer Tyler 129.
Absolute fire.
Hell yeah.
Well, the one, Ty, my favorite one, when you're at work and your camera goes off and there's a shooter under your stand.
Oh, dude.
That's the best one.
That got taken down for community guidelines.
I just saw it yesterday.
Yeah, I got taken down. I reposted it and they took it down again.
Oh, dude, that was the best one.
Yeah, I've had so many videos taken down. It's brutal, but I got them all saved, so we can. We're gonna have to release them on the ground, I think.
Yeah.
We'll get
send it over to me. I'll post it on the Outdoor Drive page.
I'll send it. Freaking hilarious. I'll send it to you guys. Like I said, I appreciate you guys even having me on here. I'm blessed to even be in the company of you guys. Being a new guy, new beginner to hunting, man, I love it. So I appreciate it.
Hey, that's what we're all about, brother.
You're welcome here anytime, buddy.
Just
I
get everybody into it.
What's that?
I think the future may see me with you guys sometime soon.
Yeah.
We'll be having fun shortly. Around the campfire, having a madman over there calling the coyotes in.
Yep, exactly. And we had a good precursor to that, and I think we're going to have a lot more of that to come. So,
love it.
Guys, everybody listening, make sure you get over there, follow these guys, give them your support. They're doing amazing things, and it's a great story that I think everybody should really get behind because they're doing it for the right reasons. And all I can say is thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.